There we go. Okay. I was like, don't die on me now. Okay. So this week I wanted to talk about setting. And setting is a really difficult topic to cover.
Hi. Sorry, I went to the library.
Oh no.
No.
So let's make a little room in here.
Yeah, it's okay. Jackie has it well in hand.
So I'll move my stuff out of the way. Okay. So let's start again. No, it's okay. So setting is a very difficult topic to cover, and when I was doing research for this workshop, I found that there was very little out there on setting on the internet. And I think the reason behind this is because setting is so individual to each novel and each story out there that's hard to kind of describe what you need to do because it's all different. So what I want to do today is give you a brief overview of setting, what it is, how it's important, and then we'll move on to the fun, crafty stuff. So setting is defined as the context and environment in which a situation is set. It's the background, it's the time, the place, the circumstances, and in which a story takes place. Whether your story takes place in an imaginary world or right here, setting is a very crucial part of your story. How you build the world around your characters will play a vital role in the overall believability of your novel. And what type of world you create will determine the reactions and the behavior of your characters. So, for example, if your main character is a woman and her story is about how she grew up on the farm, her actions, opinions, even the way she lives her day-to-day life is going to vary drastically if it's modern day or if it's the 1920s. So another type of story that's going to be affected by the era is like a crime story. You can either do something like in the 1800s with like Sherlock Holmes, or if it's modern day, how they're going to solve the crimes, whether it's going to be modern science or deductive reasoning. It's going to be very different. So, for Nano, if you know that your story is going to be a historical one or one that references real events from the past, if you can, take some time before November 1st to go and do a little bit of research from that time period. Kind of learn a bit about the time you're writing from, the main inventions, social interactions, the way people dressed or interacted. But once November hits, don't do research. Don't do your research. Just last week we talked about leaving notes or tags in your writing to go back and research something. Do that. Write it as the story comes to you, and then leave a note and say, well, I'm not sure this actually can happen, so go back and look it up. And look it up, and then go through your manuscript in December and find all those to do research for. So you don't also, besides time, you also want to think about location. It's equally important. And some genres come with a traditional setting. Say Westerns, they're usually in the Wild West. Horror stories are usually have that creepy house that nobody wants to buy or visit, But it's okay to think out of the box and say maybe combine two settings. My favorite example of this is the space Western. Think of Firefly. There's also a Japanese animation called Cowboy Bebop, where they're both they're set in outer space, but they're bounty hunters. Right. So think about how that affected them. So they're not running around on horses; they've got clunky old spaceships that they have to keep in repair. So and it's far enough into the future, you got to think of other technological advances they could have, but at that point, you're also getting a little into science fiction. So you've got the different conflicts of the genres kind of coming through. So in the case of Firefly, they countered that by adding a war to the background that left most of the worlds in poverty. And that kind of sets you back to the Western era. They're riding horses. They don't really have a lot to go with. So, and it basically kept it as a Western. So time, place, circumstance, and the environment of your characters, those are all keys to successful storytelling. Without the setting, the stories would just be words, right? The images come from the era the story takes place, the place the characters are, the environment in which the characters live, the circumstances they have to face. So, it's a little kid.
She made that effect.
Keep it in her.
Yep. So it's important because setting is important because it gives a reader a better sense of the story. It allows them to visualize what's going on and connect with your characters better. It also helps with the mood of the story, and it pulls your reader right into your story and gets them hooked. So putting time and energy into creating a setting may be one of your least favorite parts of creating your story. But if you intend to write a quality novel, it's something you can't overlook. Today we're going to do an exercise that can help with setting. It's called vision boarding, or dream boards is another one. Treasure maps, visual explorer, creativity collages. And they're all different names for what we're going to be doing today. So a vision board is typically a poster board on which you paste or collage images you've torn out of magazines. That simple. So they can be used to help you visualize something you're trying to achieve, like a personal goal, who you want to become, what you want to have, where you want to live, where you want to go on vacation. Or in the case of writers, we can easily use them for creating characters or trying to visualize the setting you want to create for your work. So, for an example, here's one I did for Nano 2010. And this is actually one for a character. I couldn't find my one that I did for the setting. So this character here, his name was Apollo. And he is from my 2010 Nano novel, like I said. And so what I did is I wanted to get a better sense of his personality. Sorry. And so I found pictures that I thought I would find of items that I thought I'd find in his room, or, where he got his name, what I thought he would like to wear, places he would visit, that type of stuff, just to kind of get an overall sense of his character. And the great thing about vision boards is when you're done with them, you can hang them up. I hung mine up over my workspace for Nano 2010. I had a little writing nook. And they really kept me motivated. Because I'd see, not just when I was creating them, I got all excited about the story, but when I would walk past them in my house, I would see them and just kind of get drawn back into my story. I wanted to know what my characters were going to do next, what was going to happen next, that type of thing. So, and it would pull me back into the story. So, vision boards are really easy to create. There's 4 steps for a writer to create their vision boards. So first, we go through the magazines. I know some of you brought some, and it's okay. We can just share the ones I brought too if you didn't bring any. And you tear images out. So first thing you do, just go through the magazines, find stuff you like. Don't worry about gluing or arranging them yet. Just have fun, make a big pile of images. And if you're doing vision boards at home and you're looking for something and you're just not quite finding it, you can always research it online and print out a picture of it to use. So the next step after you've collected all these images is to go through them and begin laying your favorite ones out on the board, kind of arranging them, seeing how it's going to flow. Don't worry about, getting rid of images that don't feel right anymore. Feel free to set them aside and not use them. This is the step where your intuition comes in. You don't have to be super crafty or creative to do it. Just how it feels right to you, because it's your board. And then after that, you glue everything down onto the board. You can add writing, or you can draw pictures. I brought markers and whatnot. And then the fourth step is to hang it up, if you'd like. So that we can get started. Does anybody have any questions? Or I know I kind of went through the setting stuff pretty fast, but the video will be up on the forums again. So, okay. So we'll come on in and start looking through the magazines and start finding some pictures. I have some paper we can use that you can glue stuff down to. So, okay. Let me get this out of your way.
Should I just add these to the middle?
Yep, add them to the middle if you'd like.
Fine. Make some space.